Take a breath. What do you think of when you hear the word trauma? I want to define that for you because we hear about it all the time, at least I do, on social media. And when you really understand what it is, it gives you a different perspective, perhaps, on what's happening in your life. So my name is Linda Downey, and I'm a transformational health and spiritual coach. I work with women to overcome stress, anxiety, burnout in their jobs, toxic relationships, overcoming painful experiences from their past, and breaking up any patterns that have really held them stuck in their life. So when we work with trauma, here, let me start with what it's not, okay? Trauma is not any experience that you lived through. It's not the experience. It doesn't matter how awful the experience was. It doesn't matter how often things happened. That is not the trauma. Trauma is the way that you are left, the way that it shifts you in how you see yourself, how you see other people, and how you see life itself. When you shift your vision of yourself in some way, and now you create perhaps a pattern of being in your life around other people, that's the trauma. So here's how you can think of it. You can think of it as like if I had a knife and I cut my arm, right? That's the event, that's the experience. If that wound heals perfectly and the following year you can't even tell that I was ever cut, not a big deal. But if that wound never gets a chance to fully heal, maybe it gets infected, maybe I just don't take care of it, or I don't really deal with it and I cover it up, but now it's sore. It creates a scar, and the scar tissue is different than the rest of my body, right? Scar tissue is rigid and it doesn't grow in the same way and it's not as flexible. That is the trauma, because as I go through my life, I might have a shirt on and you don't see the scar, but I walk around kind of protecting my arm. And I'm always making sure that it's on a particular side of me so that nobody hits it. And if somebody does accidentally bump up against it, I have a huge reaction, an inappropriate reaction perhaps, because it's still so painful. That's the trauma, the guarding, the protecting, the reacting back. So if you take that example and put it into your life, when somebody says something and you have a burst of a reaction back, you find yourself always in patterns of protecting. What do I need to do to make sure this isn't hurt again? So it could be something as simple as in kindergarten, you went into school and nobody made room for you at the table. That's the experience. The trauma was the decision that 5-year-old made about themselves and that I'm not important. And so as a result, to protect that wound, that 5-year-old is constantly saying, here, you could have my sandwich. Here, you want to copy my homework as they go through school. They get into adulthood. Here, let me do that for you. That's one example of a pattern and a way of seeing themselves that got developed as a result of an experience, just like I don't have a seat at the table. So I hope that sheds some light for you on what trauma actually is. It's the wounding and the way you see yourself, and then the patterns that get created as a result of that. And if you see any of those things showing up in your life and you've really been stuck on how do I change that, drop me a comment. Let's connect, because that's exactly the work that I do with my clients. And when we get to the bottom of that, a whole new possibility for your life opens up.